Hello, and welcome to the Layer 2 show. Today we're talking to David from Layer 2 Fees. Hello, David.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hello. So, David has started a project called the cryptofees.info, and now he has transitioned into doing a Layer 2 Fees.info, which is obviously tracking the fees that are on Layer 2, rather popular topics these days. So, David, can you introduce yourself and tell a little bit more of how you started the Layer 2 Fees info project and also the background? How did you start cryptofees.info?
Sure, yeah. So the background is yeah, I'm a smart contract engineer. I've been working in kind of blockchain and Ethereum stuff since mid 2017. So I've worked on a number of different wallets and DeFi protocols and things like that. Um, yeah, I guess the start of this whole info site thing was it all started with cryptofees.info. That's a site many people might know, especially it gets thrown around on Twitter a lot. Um, a lot of these sites just kind of started from like one metric that I thought was interesting and underappreciated. So crypto fee started when I saw, I think, Hayden Adams, the CEO of Uniswap. He tweeted like, Uniswap is doing almost as many, maybe not almost as many. Uniswap's doing like half as many fees as like Bitcoin is. And I was like, wow, that's a really interesting comparison of two kind of things you wouldn't put in the same category. One is like a blockchain, one is a DeFi protocol, but you can still kind of use the amount of fees, the amount of revenue as a way to kind of compare these two protocols. So I put together like a really simple site to show kind of like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Uniswap, and a few other like blockchains and projects. And I just kind of built it for myself because I thought it was a cool metric. I think it was like a month later, Uniswap fees were doing really high, and they were, I think, getting close to like Ethereum or Bitcoin. And then I tweeted it out. It was like, maybe someone will think this is interesting, and people really grasped, really loved the site. People were sharing it all the time, and I think part of why they shared it a lot is that it showed a metric that really resonated. That people, I think, kind of already. They already had in their head, as in like which things are people using? Are people using Ethereum? Are they using Bitcoin? Are they using, at the time, like, Bitcoin Cash was still probably in the top 10, in these other blockchains. And it showed that like Uniswap was doing really well, and Ethereum and Bitcoin, were really at the top, and some of the other kind of overhyped projects were maybe a little bit lower down. Um, and so, yeah, I kind of, since it got all this attention, I kept developing that site, and I started making other info sites to try to build sites that had other metrics that I think were kind of underreported and showed interesting real world value. And that led to L2 fees. So yeah, the site's l2fees.info. It was another kind of site that's not my site, but it's a site that's been popular is l2beat.com, who I guess was on your last episodes, correct?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so we're I'm friends with those guys. I think we really are fans of each other's work, and we're building kind of similar sites. And so one kind of site I thought that would kind of bring together the two sites we had. They have L2 fees, they have L2 beat, which shows a lot of metrics around layer 2 protocols. I was doing crypto fees, which showed metrics around fees, and I was like, well, why not bring these two projects together and show L2 fees, show a metric of comparing layer 2s by fees. It's a bit different than from crypto fees, which shows total fees. So crypto fees, it's kind of like total revenue. So for Ethereum, it's going to show all the fees that were paid in the previous calendar day. The current version of L2 fees just shows like a per transaction fee. So I figured something people really care about. A lot of people are frustrated that Ethereum, the transaction fees are really high. People can't afford to use Ethereum. And so I thought, I'll make a site that shows, yes, Ethereum fees are high, but when you're using like a layer 2, like a pure layer 2, you're still using Ethereum and you get much lower fees. So even though it's maybe $5 to send some ETH on Ethereum mainnet, it's just a few cents to use some of these layer 2s. So that's kind of the current information we're showing there.
Right. So the big discussion obviously is the proper scaling solutions of Ethereum, such as rollups, because Ethereum has a rollup-centric scaling roadmap. and the other side chains, or let's say BAC, Polygon, etc. So are you comparing these? People are obviously discussing security issues, upgradability issues, but then people at the end of the day care about the fees. If it takes for them to a couple of $100 to make a transaction, they don't really care what to use at that point. They just go where it's cheaper. What is your view? And maybe as a user as well, what do you care most about?
Yeah, that's a great question. Now I'll say, like, I think, I use Polygon. I was using XDAI for years before anybody was using XDAI, and I think there's always going to be room for these like very low fee chains that maybe make some trade-offs in terms of decentralization. But for a lot of applications, they just don't need, this full like Ethereum level of security. But I do think, people don't care about the decentralization until they do, until they need it. We saw, a few weeks ago, Solana went down for, almost a full day or more than, I can't remember exactly. Not trying to knock Solana, but like, that's when you get in the case of a chain going down and your money is literally locked and you can't run a node to get out of it. Like, the low fees are great, but then all of a sudden your money disappears and it's not so great anymore. Whereas we also saw Arbitrum go down at the same time, and there became this discussion about, well, the indexer, or sorry, the sequencer is down, but you can still use Arbitrum. You just have to pay Ethereum fees instead of like these really low Arbitrum fees. So those are the cases where, people are going to maybe realize some of the trade-offs that they make on some other low-cost chains. And I think it's important, projects like L2B and L2 fees to make this distinction, because a lot of it's kind of a technical distinction, and a lot of users might not understand the difference. So, without saying like don't use Polygon, I think it's important to say, yeah, go use Polygon. Polygon's awesome, but know that you're getting a different product than when you're using Arbitrum or Optimism or ZK Sync or something like that. And that, those two different types of things are going to attract different applications. Games, really small transactions, I think that's perfect for Polygon. People who just want to experiment, I got into the space just experimenting with things. Polygon lets you just deploy your smart contracts for cheap. But with something like Arbitrum, you can do like the same DeFi that Ethereum has on Arbitrum and still have the same guarantees that if you're doing a company and you're moving really large amounts of money, you can feel comfortable doing that. Yeah.
Right. Interesting. And so, do you agree that it was the NFTs that had taken the fees to such a high level, and really we cannot even do decentralized trading at a normal speed, efficiency, and at a normal fee? So we are very much waiting for layer 2 based decentralized exchanges.
Yeah, NFTs is definitely the big part of the recent one, although fees were super high back kind of in May. It was like kind of the last mini bubble ended in May, and the fees were just super high. I mean, fees are high whenever the market is moving up, because when assets are when assets are high, when people are making money, they're willing to pay a lot of money because they're making more money than they're paying in fees. So when the assets are moving up a lot, people are willing to pay. And now we have NFTs doing a lot, so that's just kind of a different type of asset. But it's a new asset, so it's getting a lot of like new energy. People are kind of rushing into NFTs, and so now we have all the people trading, ETH and tokens and things like that on Uniswap, as well as people trading NFTs on OpenSea. So we kind of have these two different, markets of economic value moving around. So yeah, that's pushing up the fees super high on Ethereum mainnet.
Yeah, so people are saying that, on layer 2 soon we'll also have so much activity that the fees will be as high as they were on layer 1. So where else to scale? Do you have any interesting predictions, let's say, anything controversial? What do you think, which chain or which solution will win? Do you think it will be fees focused solution, or it will be security actually, or a combination of both?
I mean, we're definitely going to see some staying power around like these low fee chains. So, side chains like Polygon, or, kind of like monolithic chains like Solana. Again, I think there's a place in the market for them, and I don't think they're going to go away. One, question is, where do people want to build? So where do developers want to build? Where do they feel comfortable building? And maybe this will change, but at the moment, like, developers want to build on like they want to build on a sturdy foundation, and they want to build where kind of where other people are. And so, and also developers will tend to be a little more like ideologically minded. Not all of them, but I'll save myself a bit. It's like I have like, well, I want to build on like a really decentralized system. So that means using Ethereum or using a decentralized layer 2. If I want to build like a really big project, I'm a little bit less interested in using Polygon. I'm even less interested in using kind of some competing layer 1 that has, it's just kind of a completely different ecosystem. So I think developers are going to be deploying on these layer 2s, and then that's going to kind of bring in the users. But I don't think if you look at the fees on like Arbitrum and Optimism right now, it's like $1 for a transaction. Now those fees will keep going lower as more people use it, and as some of these restrictions, some of these caps are removed. But layer 2s are never going to be like Polygon level fees, like a fraction of a cent. I'm not even sure if Polygon is going to stay at that level. I saw the gas price on Polygon has gone up a bit recently.
Yeah. To remove
So,
the spam, I think that's what they said, right?
they removed what?
To remove the spam.
Yes, yeah, maybe that's what they said. I don't know. I was trying to send a transaction, and I like didn't have enough Matic to send the transaction. I had to send it with a low fee, and it took like hours to go through. And it's like, well, this is reminded me of being on Ethereum. So scaling is just like, it is the problem in blockchains right now. It's like anyone who claims to have a solution, they're probably lying or exaggerating. Everyone's trying to figure out how to scale, but to me, it's the best solution seems to be, kind of isolating, lots of different, roll-ups or side, different chains, things like that, and having kind of some shared security or shared data availability. Some people are really, looking at framing this around a data availability problem, because that's now the constrained resource. If you have a lot of different rollups, like the execution cost is negligible, the consensus kind of changes, but you need a place to like stick all these transactions. Now, this is what ETH2 says it's going to bring us, that ETH2 data shards are going to give like just a lot of data availability for rollups to post cheap data. So, I'm optimistic. Like, again, I'm not a protocol researcher, but from a high level, like, it seems like if they can create data shards and they can kind of keep expanding the number of data shards to match demand, that you could theoretically have like really kind of infinite scaling in that direction. And I think another underappreciated fact is that this looks we're talking about Ethereum's roll-up strategy, but this looks a lot like other blockchains and the way some other chains are approaching it. Rollups is similar to Polkadot, and their kind of parachain strategy of having, shared security, shared data availability, but lots of different like individual parachains. It's similar to how Cosmos is approaching things. Cosmos has these separate zones. They don't share security at the moment, but they're, kind of one of the future developments is shared security and shared data availability. And they're looking at using, I forget the name. My friend John Adler is building a project called Lazy Ledger, which is a blockchain that's just for data availability. Well, it was called Lazy Ledger. They've renamed it, but I know Cosmos is using that. And Tezos also said that they're just kind of going to use like an Ethereum style roll-up system. So, between all those, you see like kind of those main smart contract projects are doing a pretty similar approach to scaling. The only kind of alternative you see to that is like the Solana approach of like just really, really big nodes. But, I even have doubts as if that can scale to, the whole world using blockchain. So I'm definitely on the Ethereum kind of roll-up side of the debate.
So you're a developer yourself, and Ethereum community is known for very, very strong community support and ideological values, as you mentioned yourself. So it's great that we have that. And I wanted to talk about something different with you because I know that you're involved in organizing some Ethereum community events. So there's a coming up event in Lisbon, actually more than an event. So developers and community members are gathering. Could you tell a bit more about this? I'm personally excited to take part in this myself. So very, very glad about this.
Yeah, so I think you're referring to all the stuff happening here in Lisbon, Portugal.
Yes.
So that's, yeah, it's like a little over a week from LizCon. So LizCon is going to be a large kind of Ethereum and blockchain conference here in Lisbon. And I'm kind of one of the organizers of that conference. And I've been living in Lisbon for a little over a year. Lisbon has a really like quickly growing blockchain community. And so one reason I wanted to kind of organize this event was I just felt like there needed to be, there's all these people here and there needed to be like one good event to kind of like show the world, like we have so many cool people here, so many interesting things are happening in Lisbon. Like come check out our beautiful city, meet some cool people here. And I just thought it would kind of put Lisbon on the map. And one cool thing about the event, LizCon specifically, is it's just being organized by members of the community like me. We obviously have some amazing sponsors, but the event itself is not organized by any company or organization. It's just people who love the space, people who miss seeing our friends. It's been COVID for the last year and a half, and there haven't been many events, so we're all excited to kind of see each other in person again. We wanted there to be a great event, so just felt like we had to do it. So yeah, the event's coming up soon. I'm super excited to see it. I think we've got some great speakers. We've got some really fun activities. We're going to do some kind of exciting experiments. Yeah, so I'm super stoked.
That's great, great, fantastic. Really looking forward to that, and great for the community to gather and meet each other in person. We've been stuck on Twitter and Telegram, and really good to see each other.
Yeah, I mean, Twitter and Telegram are great for like kind of expressing ideas, but there's just an energy at the in-person events, like just an excitement that like you can't go to these events and not be so excited about what's happening in the space. So
Exactly.
can't wait to see that energy again.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Really great talking to you. Is there anything else that you would like to share? Anything exciting, controversial, interesting to our viewers and listeners?
I don't think I have any controversial hot takes at the moment, but I guess I'll just close with if you want to kind of follow more about me and what I'm working on, you can follow me on Twitter. That's at DMIHAL. And if you want to check out the sites we talked about, you can check out cryptofees.info or l2fees.info to see some cool metrics. There's a bunch of other sites, but those are linked in the header. And yeah, if you want to learn more about LizCon, it's coming up really quickly, but you can go to lizcon.org to see more about that event, or lisbonblockchainweek.com to see all the other great events happening in Lisbon.
Thank you very much, David. And thank you for organizing this. And thank you for coming to this show.
Thank you so much. Great to talk to you.